All right. Yeah, thank you very much for the introduction. I have the task to really set the scene a bit. And for that, we have to start in talking what is industry actually facing. Next slide. The industry is actually facing a situation. When we talk about industry, we talk mainly about basic material sector, the emission-intensive basic material sector, where current facilities are completely unfit for actually providing materials without emitting CO2. So industry has to invest. The solutions highly differ, but almost and not always mean that we completely have to rebuild facilities. For example, we have also carbon capture in the cement sector, but even there, the investments are almost as big as building the new plant itself. And additionally, we also have a lot of investments we need, for example, in recycling facilities, because one major part of the solution is to not just continue using primary materials, but also use the current material much more circular. And what you see on this slide is a little bit the estimates of how much money we actually need that we did for a paper that we published together in 2021, where we said that only to transform about 10% of the European big or let's say most emission-intensive basic material sectors, but for that you need about 28 billion euros, which is not little money. However, actually, the investment cost itself is not the biggest barrier for transforming the industry, because it's actually operational cost. Next slide, please. Because what's the situation? I mean, there's one question of building a new installation and putting it into place, but industrial facilities have a lifetime of 15, 20, maybe sometimes even more years, and they have to be operated economically over their lifetime. And the economic operation actually depends on the operational costs. And there we see that we have huge operational cost uncertainties, because by using a different process, I actually face different energy, different emission, and also different material costs that actually at the moment of investment are highly, highly uncertain. So what we actually need to bring this now to the policy sphere is that we actually need policies that not only support investments, so capital expenditures, CAPEX, but that actually hedge against these high operational risks. And that's kind of the policy that we need if we want to have a EU industry that becomes green, but also remains competitive, not only within the EU, but also in global market. And next slides. But where are we actually with the European policy so far? The European policy, we have on the one side for industrial transformation, we have the CO2 price signal, where we now have the introduction of this carbon border adjustment mechanism that is a little bit half-hearted, where we want to partially phase out free allocation over the next 10 years, which in the end most likely will first of all result in higher costs for EU industry, but not really help them to transform. On the other side, we have policy instruments like the Innovation Fund, which is actually has a lot of money that is going to be available. You're talking there about 40 billion, most likely until 2030. But this money can really only be spent because it's a fixed amount. 40 billion can be invested to support investment costs, to capital expenditures, but not really the operation. And now in February, then we had finally the Green Industrial Plan as part of the Green Deal that was being published, and that was, to put it mildly, a little bit of a disappointment, because if we look at the main targets here, I actually reformulated that a little bit. The Green Industrial Plan actually has 4 different targets. The first one is simplified, and I put it in national regulation because that's what's actually pushing for, to make national regulation more lean to get projects up to speed. And then better access to funds. But if we look at the proposals, actually better access to national funds, because the Commission proposed to loosen to a certain degree state aid regulation that allows national governments to invest in their industries. But that actually will only allow us, it basically leads towards richer countries investing into their industry and transforming it, while actually other countries that don't really have that on the agenda or don't have the financial means are faced with the challenge inside a single European market that their competitors in richer countries have the financial means to transform, and also have, let's say, the operational costs being hedged, as is in case of the climate contracts of the German government, and they are not, which can lead to an unjust transition within the EU, while the entire package itself does neither consider, let's say, the global dimension of industry, where trade goes far beyond the European Union and its borders.